Alright, in today's daily practice, we are going to ask about a fundamental question that's hiding in plain sight. And once you see it, uh, your life is going to change. And now, before you roll your eyes and mutter how we could do that, and how another person talking about some philosophical mumbo jumbo again, let's just consider this right now. As you are listening to these words, what's buzzing in that magnificent brain of yours? What is happening in the brain? Thoughts, right? Feelings, sensations, maybe a faint echo of your last snack. But here's the question usually makes people cringe a little bit or grind to a halt is who or what is actually aware of all this. And you might confidently declare, well, I am. But then, if you go looking for this I, what do you find? And most of us are so utterly convinced that our thoughts is like glued to ourselves. And when a worried thought pops up, bam, I am worried. An angry thought stomps in, and we are all in. I'm angry. And it's like our thoughts have a tiny commanding officer living in our heads. But here's the kicker, you are no more your thoughts than your words you are currently listening to or speaking, or that questionable sweater you've been wearing since college. So, watch your thoughts for a second. They just appear, don't they? Like uninvited guests at a party, showing up without an RSVP. You don't choose the next thought, it just arises. If you were thoughts, what would you be doing? If you were the thoughts, who would you be while you're watching? It's trying to watch yourself on TV, but it's a real difficult analogy because the TV is something which we have created. So, this, my friends, is what 99% of us completely miss. This Grand Canyon sized difference between the thinker and the thoughts, between the experiences and the experiencer. So you are not the content of your consciousness, you are the consciousness itself. But oh no, from birth we are trained to identify with the content. We are taught to say, I'm sad, instead of sadness is currently having a little dance party with my awareness. We declare, I am successful, instead of saying, or instead of believing success is happening and is pretty neat. We become utterly convinced that we are soap opera stories, the dramatic emotions, the quirky sensations, rather than the vast aware space where all these things make their grand entrances and exits. This mistaken identity is the root of all human suffering. It's like thinking you are the movie playing on the screen instead of the screen itself. Right now, you're aware of these words, but you're also aware that you are aware of these words. There's a kind of knowing that knows the knowing. In some parlance, this is called metacognition. This is also known as knowing awareness. That's the real you, not the mental chatter about it, not the fancy concepts, but the pure, unadulterated awareness itself. And here's the truly remarkable part, this awareness is completely untouched by whatever appears in it. When you have a thought so painful, it makes you want to curl in a ball, does the awareness itself start crying? When fear grips you, does the awareness itself suddenly get fearful or jitters? No. And that's awareness. Awareness remains clear, spacious, and utterly unchanged, like a perfectly calm lake reflecting a chaotic thunderstorm. It reflects everything, but it's stained by nothing. So, why don't people get this? Because from the moment we pop out, we're told to focus on the stuff of awareness, not in awareness itself. We learn names for things, labels for feelings, concepts for experiences. We build an entire identity around this mental junk drawer. I'm Nikhil, I'm 41, I'm a coach, I'm married, I'm worried about money, and I'm very proud of my achievements. But all of these are just thoughts, concepts, and stories doing a little jig in awareness. None of them are you. So you are the spacious theater in which Nikhil appears as a character. You are the awareness in which 41 years old is just a fleeting concept. You are the consciousness in which a coach arises as a temporary costume. And this realization that you are awareness itself, rather than the contents of your awareness, is the most liberating insight possible. Because if you're not your thoughts, then those worrying thoughts can actually harm you. If you're not your emotions, then your difficult emotions can't truly overwhelm you. If you're not your circumstances, then your challenging circumstances cannot truly diminish you. You're like the sky, and all experiences are just weather. The sky isn't changed by a hurricane or heat wave. It remains vast, open, and clear. So the ultimate weather reporter completely unaffected by the forecast. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When you try to truly recognize what you are, this open, aware presence, something extraordinary happens. Life starts to become less of a grueling marathon and more of a spontaneous improv. Experiences become entertainment rather than existential threats. You still have thoughts, but you know you're not the thoughts. You still have emotions, but you know you're not the emotions. You still have a body, but you know you're not limited to the body. You still have a personality, but you know it's just one fabulous costume among many that our consciousness can wear. This doesn't turn you into a detached zombie. If anything, it makes you more present, more alive, more capable of genuine, heartfelt response rather than an automatic knee jerk reaction. So, this is what 99% of people do instead. They spend their lives trying to fix, improve, or perfect the contents of their consciousness. They try to get better thoughts, more pleasant emotions, more comfortable circumstances. They work tirelessly to polish their self image, enhance their personality, and achieve their goals. This is like trying to improve your reflection by scrubbing the mirror. The mirror does not need improving. Unless it's a dirty mirror, please clean it, dirty mirror. But it's already perfect at reflecting. What you are doesn't need improving. already perfect at being aware. So I'm going to say something that might sound really radical, a little absurd even. You have no problems. None. Zero. Now you'll go, wait a minute. I have plenty of problems. Bills to pay, replenish, relationships to untangle, replenishing water, obviously, health issues to Google, goals to achieve. But looking at it a little closer, do you have problems or do you have thoughts about the problems? Do you have stress or do you have thoughts that create experience of stress? Right now in this very moment, without going through the past or fretting about the future, without telling yourself a dramatic tale about what should or shouldn't be, what's actually wrong. The truth is, the problem exists in thought. In reality, there are situations in this moment, situations that require practical responses, yes, but not problems. So, in this psychological sense, the problem is always the story you tell yourself, and the situation is what is present. So, in a sense, you don't have money problem, you have a situation involving money and a whole dramatic narrative about what that means. You don't have a relationship problem, you have a situation involving another person or few people and a mental script about how it should be different. And when you realize that you are not the stories, the situations simply become what they are, present circumstances that can be responded with clarity and wisdom rather than reacted to with fear and confusion. It's like the difference between a fire alarm going off situation and panicking that the house is burning down when it's just a toaster stuck. People spend their entire lives searching for happiness, for peace, for love, for fulfillment. They look for it in relationships, in achievements, in exotic experiences, in spiritual practices. They believe that if they just could get this job, the perfect partner, achieve the elusive goal or some mystical state of mind, then they would be finally happy. I mean, here's the cosmic joke. What you are looking for is what is doing the looking. The peace you seek is the peace you are. The love you crave is the love you are. The awareness you're trying to develop is the awareness you've always been. You're like someone searching for their reading glasses while they are perched squarely on their nose. I can attest. The very capacity to search is the thing you are searching for. This is why spiritual seeking often becomes this elaborate trap. People meditate to get enlightened, practice mindfulness to find peace, study philosophy and science to understand the truth. But the one who meditates is already the Buddha nature they seek. The one who practices mindfulness is already pure awareness they're trying to cultivate. The one who studies the truth is already the consciousness in which all truth appears. So, you cannot achieve what you already are. You can only recognize it. So, how do you recognize it? How do you wake up from this hilarious dream that you are separate, limited, problem filled individual? The simplest way is to notice. Notice what's already here, right now. Notice that you are aware. Don't think about awareness. Don't analyze it. Don't try to understand it. Just notice it. The noticing itself is what you are. Notice that this awareness has no edges, no boundaries, no center, no location. It's not inside your head or outside your head. It's the vast open space in which the very ideas of inside and outside appear. Notice that this awareness is not old or young, male or female, successful or unsuccessful. It has no history, no future, no story. It simply is. Now, it is okay, you might find an objection, but I do have a history. I was born, I have lived a life, I have memories, experiences, a personality, yes. And all of that appears in awareness. Your birth is known as a concept in awareness. Your memories are present experiences in awareness. Your personality is a collection of patterns appearing in, that's right, awareness. But what are you? What are you is the awareness itself, the pure, open, present consciousness in which all of this appears. So here's what changes when you realize this. Everything becomes lighter. Life becomes a kind of a drama or comedy or dramedy than some serious thing. You still care, you still act, but you do it from freedom rather than compulsion, from joy and love rather than from fear or need. You realize you can't actually be threatened because there's no separate self to the self to threatening. You can't actually fail because there's no separate self to fail. You can actually be unloved because what you are is love itself. This doesn't make you passive though, or irresponsible. If anything, it makes you more responsive, more creative, more alive. And when you're frantically defending a fictional self, not trying to improve or perfect an imaginary identity, all that wasted energy becomes available for authentic, joyful living. But here's the paradox that confuses most people. You can't practice being what you are. I'll repeat that. You can't practice being what you are. You can't work toward realizing what you already are. You can't gradually become what you've never not been. And here's where all spiritual practices, self-improvement efforts, all personal development work can only point you back to what's already here. They can create conditions that make recognition more likely, but they cannot create what you are. It's like using a flashlight to look for the light. The flashlight can help you see objects, but the light you are looking for is the light that's already shining. So you may ask, this is all great, Nikhil, excellent, but what do you do with this understanding? How do you live from this recognition that you are not your thoughts? You don't do anything with it. You let it do something for you or with you. When you truly see that you are not who your thought says you are, life begins to live you rather than you trying to live life. Responses arises naturally rather than being forced. Love flows spontaneously rather than being manufactured. Wisdom emerges organically rather than being accumulated. You become like water, effortlessly flowing around obstacles, the way of the Tao, rather than fighting them, taking shape of whatever container you find yourself in, while never losing your essential nature of awareness. This is what 99% of the people spend their entire lives not realizing. They're already free, already whole, already perfect as they are. Not perfect in the sense of having no room for improvement, because who doesn't want to improve? But perfect in the sense of not lacking anything essential. The seeker is the sought, experiencer is the experience, the knower is the known. You are not a person having a spiritual experience, you are spirit having a personal experience. You are not a body with consciousness, your consciousness playing a body. And here's the beautiful part. Once you realize this, you don't need to maintain that realization even. You don't need to practice staying awakened, staying awakened, staying awakened. You don't need to do that. What you are doesn't come and go. It's a constant in which all coming and going appears. You might forget, but that's why we have mindfulness. You might get caught up in the stories again. You might identify with the thoughts and emotions. But what you actually are remains untouched, unchanged, ever present, like the sun behind the clouds. It's always there, even when it's temporarily obscured. So, look, right now, not with your eyeballs, but with your being, what are you really? Not what you think you are, not what others have told you, not what your history may suggest, but what you actually are in this moment. You are the aware presence listening to these words. You are the open space in which the thoughts, feelings arise and pass away. You are the consciousness that makes up all experience possible. And some may argue the consciousness itself makes up the entire universe. That is a topic for another day. But this is what 99% of people don't realize. But you don't have to be part of that 99%. In this moment, as close as your own being, you are not who you think you are. You are infinitely more, and paradoxically, infinitely simpler than you will ever imagine. So, this is the greatest discovery you'll ever make. And the most wonderful part, you don't need to go anywhere or do anything to make this happen. You only need to stop pretending to be what you are not and recognize what you've always been. What you are has been waiting your entire life for you to notice it. It's waiting right now. And all that's required is a simple shift in attention from the objects of awareness to awareness itself, from the contents of consciousness to consciousness itself, from the waves of the ocean to the ocean itself, from the dream to the dreamer. This is it. This is what 99% of people don't realize, and 1% of the people do. But now you can become part of that 1% who do. The question isn't whether this is true or whether this is something I don't understand is whether you're all ready to see it. And seeing it doesn't require belief, understanding, or even acceptance. It only requires looking. So look.